as kids in my age. And every time my father comes home back, he would have the ketofin syrup to reduce the symptoms of asthma in one hand, and the other hand full of archaic Arabic poetry books to read. I think both of them were addictive, but the second one I really enjoyed and stayed with me until now.
Wow.
Yeah. So I grew up with reading these poetry books, and I loved Arabic language and I loved Arabic poetry. And here I am today studying it more.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Biryar, I've never known that ice cream could be so prohibited and so delicious at the same time.
Actually, it also gives a letter of hope now. Things that were prohibited years ago can be totally fine today. Like now, everyone can get ice cream in Baghdad. Everyone can have the right, and it's the basic human right to have an ice cream. And this, I think, gives a lot of hope to your page and what the Lebanese food is looking for.
So I think the topics that we address on the Lebanese Cook to you, there's hope for us.
Yes.
Because if ice cream can be not prohibited any longer.
And I hope, and I really appreciate that you being the dealer of it.
I'm the black market dealer of the story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I've made you some ice cream, actually. We're going to share it in a minute. And I'll share the recipe with you. The ice cream I made you is Lebanese ice cream as I remember it growing up. It's a bit chewy. It's a bit elasticy. I know I'm not making it sound good, but it's actually quite delicious and I know you're familiar with it. And ironically, as I was looking up the ingredients for it and the recipe development of it, there was a little bit of a dispute over its origin. Turkish or Syrian? Now we are in a deeply disturbing and quite tragic period of history with the Turkish army attacking northern Syria and specifically attacking the Kurdish people in Syria. I can't begin to imagine how painful this must be for you and, of course, for the Kurdish and Syrian people under attack. Does this bring back memories?
Of course, it brings back the memories. I see people with their backs fleeing. More than 200,000 people now are displaced in Syria because of the Turkish army attack in northwest Syria, which is called Rojava. And when I see all these people having their bags in hand, their house is basically their clothes, and sleeping in the vehicle, sleeping on the street. It also brings back stories of my childhood and our family's childhood. My aunt family, they were forcibly removed from their own house, and they stayed one night on the street watching others entering their house, and it's all bringing the stories back to my memory.
I am so sorry that you are going through this, and that your memories are appearing again. I don't doubt that they never disappeared, but I imagine it's a different experience to see it happening right now. Biryar, I have one final question for you. What would you say to the world right now listening to you?
A lot of people come out to the media and say, we are with Rojava. Europe is saying we are with Rojava and Turkey should stop. America, the Democrats, the Republican come out, both agree on saving Rojava and Turkey should stop. But no one's really taking the action to stop. And Rojava now really needs the no-flight zone to prevent the Turkish airplanes from attacking civilians and people in Rojava.
I want to thank you so much for sharing all of this with us, despite how hard it must be. I really, really hope that the more people listen to your story, they're able to see how it's being replicated over again 20 years later. Knowing that the ice cream that was prohibited for you 20 years ago is now allowed is hope that 20 years from now, many of the basic rights denied today to people across the globe may be given. Now we're coming to an end, and I know that you wanted to end with a poem.
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit about the poem?
The poem is by David Shook, my friend and collaborator in Kashkul, the Center of Art and Culture in Iraq, Slemani. And he recently also translated a work from Rojava called A Bullet. And he's a poet, a translator, and a writer. And he's one of my favorite people. I just would like to end our podcast today with one of his poems that he wrote to support the people in Afghanistan when the American drones claimed to attack Al-Qaeda, but they attacked all civilians. And he wrote that poem in response to that.
Okay.
I really would love to read it.
Of course.
Today. Let Me Explain by David Shook. After Neruda. Go ahead, ask, where are the pomegranates, the dates, the girls with skin brown as hash, the hash? Listen to what's happening. One morning, bonfires began to leap from the earth, devouring human beings, lit by matches flick across the sky with joysticks. And from then on fire, from then on burning hair, from then on limbs and meat. Invisible bandits, pickpockets, from 10,000 feet, faceless, thoughtless, dumb except for humming. Bandits marked with tiny flags, controlled from continents away by children. Child bandits with leather jackets left hanging in their girlfriends' closets. Child bandits with Bibles thumped and highlighted. Spear missiles through the sky to kill other children. And the blood of children runs through the streets, neither seen nor heard, obedient. Simply like children's blood. Ask away, why doesn't his poetry describe our urban loneliness, the body drenched in metaphor? There is nothing to see here, nothing to see. Just blood in the sand, blood in the streets, nothing to see. This is dedicated to the kids who already injured and died as a result of the Turkish attack in Syria.
My thoughts and prayers are with all of the children who find themselves today without a home. We will finish with David Shook responding to a poem by Pablo Neruda with his own poem and the audio of Let Me Explain.
Preguntaréis, ¿y dónde están las líneas? Y la metafísica cubierta de amarguras, y la lluvia que a menudo golpeaba sus palabras llenándolas de agujeros y pájaros. Os voy a contar todo lo que me pasa. Go ahead, ask, where are the pomegranates, the dates, the girls with skin brown as hash, the hash. Listen to what's happening. One morning, bonfires began to leap from the earth, devouring human beings. Lit by matches flicked across the sky with joysticks. And from then on fire, from then on burning hair, from then on limbs and meat. Invisible bandits, pickpockets from 10,000 feet. Faceless, thoughtless, dumb except for humming. Bandits marked with tiny flags, controlled from continents away by children. Child bandits with leather jackets left hanging in their girlfriends' closets. Child bandits with Bibles thumbed and highlighted. Spear missiles through the sky to kill other children. And and the blood of the children runs through the streets. Neither seen nor heard, obedient, simply like children's blood. Ask away, why doesn't his poetry describe our urban loneliness? The body drenched in metaphor. There's nothing to see here, nothing to see. Just blood in the sand, blood in the streets, nothing to see.
No nos habla del sueño de las hojas, de los grandes volcanes de su país natal. Venid a ver la sangre por las calles.